Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to this episode of Shut Up, Sam, the podcast where I talk about whatever I want. You may notice that I'm tired because I tried to record this episode before this and I didn't feel it was right. And it's funny because I talk about vulnerability and I kind of talk about how, I just sit down and talk, and I do. But with this specific topic, I wanted to make sure that I do it right. And because of that, I wanted to take a little more time. So you're not seeing me super fresh today. I already recorded like 20 minutes of another episode and I scrapped it because I was like, okay, I gotta redo this. But this episode was recorded on a whim. A whim as in I was literally leaving the house before I kind of felt called to do this. And the reason was because, this morning I was praying and, Catholic type shit. So I was just praying and I just said, God, whatever you want to happen today, let it happen, man. Like, I'll do what you want me to do. Just let me know and I'll do it. And then I started getting ready to go outside. And I remembered a comment that came up yesterday prior to this day of filming. And it was like, I really love your episodes. You should do one on accountability. And I was out with my friends at this time, and they know my story, and they know what, they know the bad things that I've done. And they were like, wow, Sam, you can make like a 5-parter on this episode, and you'd be crying in all of them. And it was kind of like a kiki ha-ha, where I was like, yeah, you're right, I could. But when I made this podcast, I talked to my boyfriend about wanting to make an episode on accountability, specifically related to something that went on within our relationship. And he was like, yeah, I'm fine with that, but you better show me and it should be good. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's fair. So I was like, well, then I'm just going to live my howdy-doody life and see in the flow state when it comes to me if I'm going to make an episode about that. So then I started getting ready to go to my hair appointment today because I literally have to get my hair done in like 2 hours. So if this doesn't do well, then I'm just going to table this episode until I'm ready. So I'm getting my hair done, or I'm brushing my hair, and then I start talking out loud to myself about this specific topic about taking accountability in relationship to my life. And I was like, okay, is this the time? Is it time? Do you want me to do it? And then I was like, maybe it's not. So then I'm getting ready and I'm almost leaving the door and I'm still talking to myself. And I'm like, okay, I think it's the time. I think I'm gonna just give it a fucking go. So then I sit down to do the episode, and I sit down for the first take and I'm nervous as fuck. I literally sit down and I almost black out. Like, when I'm telling you, my soul actually left my body because I didn't realize how hard it would be for me to do that, because I was like, I was literally just talking to myself about this and now I'm getting choked up. Are you kidding me? But it makes sense. So for today's episode, I want to talk about accountability. Taking accountability for your wrong actions. How do you live with being somebody that does bad things? And how do you properly take accountability? What does that look like? And how can we do it in a way that remains authentic and that brings peace to those who have hurt us? Those who we have hurt. And honestly, I think I just gotta come out and say it. This is something I don't fully have the answer to because it's something I'm still in. There's a lot of bad things that I've done in my life. I think I mentioned this in the first episode. I don't really see myself as a good person. I see myself as a person that's guilty of doing a lot of things, like lying, like cheating, like being a bitch, like being mean, like holding grudges, like not wanting to admit when you do something wrong because the other person pissed you off and you want to, you're like, well, they pissed me off, so I did this thing wrong and da-da-da-da-da. So I have done a lot of wrong things in my life, so I know a thing or two about accountability, but it's still something that I'm going through, and I don't want to present myself as a person that has all the answers. I don't. I'm a person who's lived a lot of life. I'm 20. I'm a person that has gone through many different things in their 20 years of living. So, this is the basis as to which I speak on my podcast. These are just based on, things that I go through but don't make them apply to your life if they don't. And also, you know, I'm still learning myself, and I'm learning alongside of you. So I guess I'm just gonna, you know, start with accountability within my own life. When I was younger, I was like one of those kids that like everyone calls it like the black sheep, where like you, like everything you do is wrong, and then you just get kind of punished for it, but you didn't really fully understand that what you were doing was wrong. So I was kind of like that. I got in trouble a lot as a child, and I don't really think I was really doing much wrong. I was just like a messy child, and I was just being a child. But like that was, you know, my parents were going through some things. So like the guilt, or like the things that I know about taking accountability, is that you say you're sorry. If someone's mad at you, you say you're sorry because you just want them to, you know, they say that you're doing something wrong and you don't fully understand it, but you just say you're sorry because that's what they're asking you to do. And like, I think that's a really terrible way to teach accountability to children. I'm not blaming my parents, by the way, but like just coming from it, like from a perspective as to where I am now, like doing ECE and things like that, like it's like you're just conditioning your child. Like they're not fully understanding what it means to apologize, what it means to hurt somebody, and what it means to do something wrong. And that's not really going to lead to adults that can take good accountability in the future. At least I don't believe so. And then what started to happen in my life is that growing up as like a pre-teenager, and my parents were getting divorced, and I was queer, and I was fucking, you know, doing drugs and shit. I kind of started being friends with not so good influences on me, and I ended up in an abusive friendship where I was in the wrong for a lot of things that I didn't think I was in the wrong for, but they made me feel bad for it. And they also did like a lot of things that were really wrong towards me. I'm sorry that's so vague. It's just like, this is a really personal part of my life that it's like, I do want to talk about it because I think it's important to be vulnerable, but it's also like, I need to, I don't know, like I don't want to be doxing people or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to share too much about other people's lives, because it's like, I understand that these things are their story as much as it is mine. I'm talking about my story, and I do want to be sensitive to these people. So growing up in that situation where I felt like I was being abused by like a person that I trusted, and I didn't really understand what it was like to be like fully accountable for your actions. I just knew it as being guilty. Like accountability was guilt. I feel guilty and I say I'm sorry because I feel guilty. Like this wasn't really like a full, well-rounded view of accountability. So at this time, and I'm like 13 by now, I kind of just see myself as like the victim. I see myself as somebody who was hurt, and I was being abused, so I was being hurt. But I didn't really see myself as like I didn't see myself as able to do that to another person. I didn't see myself as somebody that could do wrong, because I was so focused on the ways in which other people did me wrong. And I think like I kind of want to bring that back out to like the idea of like you having like a nuance to life. Like I think two things can be true at once. Like I did have a lot of things happen to me that were wrong, and I'm sure you did as well, where a lot of people hurt you as well. But there were a lot of things that you probably could have done better as well. And there's definitely things that I could have done better as well. But I think in that situation where I was being hurt so deeply, I didn't really have the mental space to be able to think about it like that, where I'm doing things wrong. And I think that's the first problem when it comes to accountability, is that we're so focused on the things that lead up to our bad actions that we can't even see. I'm already liking this. I'll take a lot more. We're so focused on the things that led up to our bad actions that we don't really think about our bad actions themselves, and we don't think about the ways in which it hurts other people. Yesterday, my friend gave this great analogy because we were practicing, and they were like, the audience takes what you give them. And like the reason why I use that phrase is because it's like when you hurt someone, they're not seeing the things that led up to that point. They're seeing what you give them. You gave them a bad action and that hurt them and that made an effect on them. They don't see the things that led up to that. And those things are important to your story, yes, but it doesn't change that you hurt somebody and that you did something wrong to them. And I think like that's something that I had a really hard time conceptualizing because I had such a victim complex growing up, because I was a victim of many different things. But I just had a hard time believing that it was like, well, my actions aren't bad, they're nuanced. That's kind of what I thought of it as. Me lying to this person wasn't bad. I'm lying to this person because I don't want them to hurt me if they hear the truth. I don't want them to hit me. I don't want them to humiliate me. I don't want them to make me feel like I'm a terrible friend, like all these different things. I was thinking, well, I'm lying, yeah, sure, but I'm doing it for survival. And I think like, well, in that situation, like that was true. And I think in situations that in situations those can be true. But like to people that don't really deserve those actions happening to them, that's not what they see. They see that you lied to them and they see that you betrayed them. And that's something that you have to acknowledge if you want to take accountability for your actions. So this was the idea that I had of accountability growing up. It wasn't a good one because I didn't see myself as capable of doing things wrong. I also wasn't religious during this time. You know, I mentioned that I'm Catholic. And when you're Catholic, being accountable for the bad things you do is a huge part of your faith, your lifestyle. I didn't really have that bone in my body yet. So what happens is that I finally get out of this abusive relationship thanks to my boyfriend. But a lot of these ideas around wrongdoing still lingered. I felt like a lot of the things that I did wrong were, you know, fine because I was trying to survive. I was still in this kind of survival mode because that happens when you come out of really rough situations like that. But my boyfriend didn't deserve those things that I was doing to him. Like I was lying about a lot of things because I was used to lying when I knew that the result would be me getting hurt in some sort of way. Not my boyfriend, not physically hurt, but like feeling guilt. And I didn't want to subject myself to that. Why? Because I'm selfish. Because I was being selfish. And these were the things that I couldn't really understand at the time. And it's weird that I'm saying that, like, oh, I couldn't understand it at the time, because like I'm still that person now. Like, what I mean is that I'm still Sam. Like, this is still the body that I had back then. Like, I'm still Sam. Like, I'm just still me. That it's like saying, like, me back then, I even wonder to myself, am I taking full accountability when I say things like that? When I refer to my past self? Because it's like, am I just distancing myself from a person that I didn't want to be? Even though that person very much is still me, am I still kind of making myself feel like I'm not capable of doing those things? Like, oh no, that was a Sam of the past and I'm Sam of the present. Like, am I still kind of enabling myself by doing that? So I'm kind of like checking myself as I say that, like when I refer to me as a past self. Am I doing that? And I want to make it clear before I go any further that I'm not asking for people to be like, no, Sam, like what you did was blah, blah, blah. And no, Sam, you shouldn't feel super bad because da, 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 da. I want to make it very, very clear that I'm in the wrong. Like and I think I'm at a point where I'm comfortable to say that. Like, I'm 20 years old. It's been a couple years / a year since a lot of these things went on in my life, and a lot of changes happened in my life since then, where I'm comfortable to say that, like, I think I was like, I was fully in the wrong for a lot of these things, or about the things that I'm about to share to you. And I don't want you to make me feel like I wasn't, because when it comes to taking accountability, I think my ability to understand that I literally ruined people's lives, and that's a reality that I have to live with every day, I think that keeps me accountable. It keeps me accountable, and it keeps me motivated that every single day I wake up, I better make sure I'm not like that, and I never do that ever again. Ever again. And I don't want to be somebody that hides behind people, that hides behind love, that hides behind gifts of forgiveness. I don't want to be somebody that takes those things for granted, because when somebody gives you a gift of forgiveness, like my boyfriend, I'm gonna explain, I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself, but when somebody gives you a gift of forgiveness, you better fucking earn it. You better make sure that you deserve it, especially when it's from somebody that you have admiration for, when it's somebody that you know doesn't, that somebody that you know deserves a way better life, somebody that you know deserves the world, you better earn that gift that they're fucking giving you. So at this point, I'm in like my mid-teens, and I'm you know, I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around accountability. I'm a new Catholic, and it's really hard for me, because like I think like this is a kind of thing that kind of goes on when you become Christian. You kind of grapple with the idea of like, okay, God, okay, sorry, I say that with such a, but like this is what I'm saying, like this kind of attitude. Okay, God, you say that I should feel bad for this thing, but I don't think I should feel bad for this thing, and you're making me feel guilty, and I don't want to feel guilty for this thing. Like, what do you mean I have to feel guilty that, I don't know, I can't think of something right now. What do you mean I have to feel guilty for doing fucking whatever? I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. And I think that position is very much of like a, I'm above it. I'm above accountability. I know, I'm saying this like from this perspective, I know what I do is wrong, and if it's not wrong to me, and if it doesn't feel wrong in the moment, then it's not wrong. And that's just not like a good way to go about things, I think. And especially when you have such like this nuanced idea of accountability where doing right and doing wrong isn't black and white, you end up falling into a lot of these different traps where you end up doing bad things that hurt other people, but you can't see beyond that because you're like, well, this led up to this and that led up to this, and you know, I'm not fully in the wrong because there's all these different things going on, and then we start to focus on the ways in which we're not accountable. We're focusing on other people and their parts of their lives, and while those things may be true in, you know, reality, like yes, those things are going on, those things avoid you from taking accountability and more so from bettering yourself. So what happened is that I ended up cheating on my boyfriend, and it was, I always refer to it as like it's the worst thing that I've ever done in my life, because it is. And I ruined his life, and I devastated him, obviously, and it was terrible and horrible for him, and I hurt him, I hurt his family, I hurt his friends, I hurt my friends, I hurt my family, because I didn't expect that from me. And this was, when I did that, it was like, relating this back to the things that I said before, it was the first time in my life where I undeniably did something wrong. I undeniably did something where it was fully my fault. I undeniably did something where I am fully accountable, and I couldn't, there was no way I could make it any other way. And whoa, sorry, give me a second. There was no way out. That it was either I took accountability for my actions, or I became the very person that I hate. Because, you know, leading up to this thing, like I don't want to reveal too much, but I'll just say this. I have been affected with infidelity, like within my life as well. And I always said to myself, I would never do that. See, once again, putting myself above abilities to do wrong, putting myself above the ability to hurt someone. I would never do that. I could never do that. I would never, ever, 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 ever. And I ignored the fact that I'm a human fucking being and that I'm flawed and that I can do bad things and that I'm not perfect. And I didn't see myself as somebody that could ruin somebody's life because I've had my life ruined. And that was really selfish of me to have that perspective. So when I cheated and when my boyfriend found out, because I didn't tell him, because I was so afraid of taking accountability for my actions, I just wanted to sweep it under the rug. When he found out, I lost, obviously and this was deserved, I lost everything. I lost his respect. I lost the respect of my friends who were also his friends, and they all left me. I lost my personal friends, like a lot of my personal friends, and like, you know how like there's friendships in circles and circles and circles. I lost it all. It came out at work. I lost the respect of a lot of people within my workplace. It was a new thing. It was a new experience for me where I was being forced to be accountable for something that was undeniably my fault. And I don't want to act like I immediately stepped into this taking accountability thing, because I didn't. Obviously, I explained to you guys before how I already had a really fucked up idea about being accountable because of how the ways in which I was hurt in my life. And then, you know, it was like the situation that happened. I lost everyone, so now I'm hurt, you know. And for a lot of the time, I was hung up about how hurt I was over losing all my friends, and over, you know, things not, I don't want to say too much, but like things not going the way that I thought they should have. Like, for example, like I was being held very accountable, and there were some people within the situation that I didn't see being held very accountable, and I was almost using that as a way to avoid taking accountability for myself. And that was wrong. And I want to like kind of bring that back to the point that I was saying before, that oftentimes a big wall. Bridge is what bridges, wall is what blocks. A big blockage in me being able to take accountability, or people being able to take accountability in general, is we focus on the ways in which we aren't accountable. And in my situation, I wasn't accountable for those people's actions, and yet I didn't see them taking accountability for their actions, so now I'm focusing on that. And I did do that for a long time, and I think I still continue to do that. Like, but I want to check myself when I do that, because like when you do things like that, you avoid becoming a better person. And I say becoming a better person because I think when you do wrong things, you know, and you sit in the fact that, wow, I'm just reminded that I'm a terrible person that's capable of horrible things and ruining people's lives. You know, you want to grow from that. You want to make sure, I mean, I hope, you know, you would want to make sure that you would never do those things again. But I think the first step in being able to do that is to be able to admit that what you did was wrong. Being able to admit that you were fully in the wrong, and being able to admit that there is no way around it. Being able to admit that you ruined people's lives, that you ruined your own life, and that all the hardships that you face are a result of your bad actions. You can't put it on anybody else. You can't put it on God. Pardon, Mike, sorry. You can't put it on God. You can't put it on the people that were involved within, like, because you know situations have people involved in it. You can't blame them. It's your fault. So when this was going on, obviously, like, you know, me and my boyfriend are still together, and that was, you know, that was the gift that he gave me, that I needed to make sure that I stepped up to the fucking plate and earned that fucking gift. Because if he saw that ability in me to be better, I better fucking make sure that I fucking do be better. Because are you fucking kidding me? Like, there's no way in hell. So, okay, I'm so fucking lame. There's no way in hell that I'm letting that happen. That I'm letting that sacrifice be given to me and I just throw it away. There's no way. So I started to go on this big accountability journey. I leaned really hard into my faith because, you know, Catholicism is, you know, Catholic guilt is a thing. Like, Catholicism is kind of known for the ways in which you hold yourself accountable to your actions every single day. I started going to a bunch of these different, like, meetings, and, like, they were called, like, I think, I actually forgot what it's called. I think the place is called Manresa, and the whole process is called metanoia, where it's, like, radical change. And, like, I started going to these meetings where they're talking about taking, you know, yeah, like, doing bad things and living with that. And, like, I think something that was really, really hard is, and something that I still don't know really how to do, is, like, how can you live with the fact that you're a bad person? And, like, this kind of ties into my idea of my faith as well. Like, how do you live with the fact that you're a sinner? How do you live with the fact that you do wrong? How do you live with those things? And how do you not, explode and die and fall into a trap where you're just doing those things over and over again? And I think it's like, I think the first step is just admitting it with no shame. Shame is something I think that keeps us from being accountable. And like, I think like a lot of people have different views on that, because you should be ashamed when you do bad things, right? Like, you should feel bad. But I don't think shame is feeling bad. I think shame is like hiding. Like, sorry for this dumb analogy, but like K-pop Demon Hunters, Rumi's tattoos, she felt shame over that. Like, it's something that you hide. It's something that you don't acknowledge, and it grows and grows and grows. And that's what I think shame is. And I think shame is what kept me, I keep hearing that I'm saying Shane. I think shame is what kept me from growing. Shame is what kept me from telling my boyfriend that I cheated on him. Shame is what kept me from admitting to my boyfriend that I had an issue, that I had, that I think that I was, that shame was what kept me from having that conversation with him. And shame is what kept me from becoming a better person. And overcoming that shame came with me being open about it. It was really interesting because when I cheated, I kind of made like a startup podcast. I made like this Instagram channel where I was posting a bunch of self-help things because I was consuming a lot of self-help books and things along those lines, where I was like, well, I'm studying it, I might as well post about it. And I had this desire to be out and open about it because I was reading a lot where it was like, well, yeah, shame is bad. Like, and all of these books were saying that, like, you can't feel, like, you got to be open and you got to be honest, and you got to be honest with yourself. So I was like, okay, well, how do I do that? Because it's like my boyfriend said this to me when I was kind of talking about making this podcast and potentially making an episode about what I did to him. And he was like, you have to be careful, because the things that you say, it's not just about you, Sam. It's not just your story when you're saying these things. It's ours too. And that's a very true thing. So then it's like, yeah, how do I come out here and be vulnerable and honest and open in a way to negate shame, in a way that is still respectful to the people around me? And I think that comes with open conversation. When we do bad things and we want to hide away from it, we don't get the chance to kind of connect with those people who we've hurt and get their perspectives and their opinions on those things. Because if we're trying to avoid hurting them again, they should be involved within these kinds of conversations, right? I think like my ability to kind of talk about this now, like, my boyfriend and I were currently working on our relationship. Like, this situation came out like a year ago, and we spent all of 2025 trying to figure things out between us and things along those lines, and we were focused on ourselves. And within that, there was a lot of moments where I had to shut the fuck up. I think when it comes to taking accountability, and when you're somebody like me, where it's like you're not a good person to begin with. You are the one that did something wrong. But worst of all, you're a prideful, fucking arrogant bitch, and, you want to defend yourself. You need to shut the fuck up. It's not your place. There's somebody who's hurt right now. There's somebody whose life that maybe in your situation you didn't ruin their life, but in my situation I ruined their life. There's somebody who you've hurt so deeply. You need to give them that space to be, and you need to put your pride aside. There's a line between, like, because it's like the question that I have in my head right now is, how can I love myself enough to be compassionate to myself so that I'm not shameful, but also not be too compassionate and loving to myself that I'm ignoring that I hurt somebody. And I think I don't have the tools to answer that. I don't really know how that starts. Maybe if somebody has more insight, they can kind of like answer that for me. But that was a really fine line that was something that I was figuring out when I was taking accountability for my actions, is that I need to make sure that I don't fall into this whole I'm sorry thing, because those things, like when you're just saying that, like that comes out of guilt, and that comes out of like I feel bad for me that and I don't know how to handle that I did something wrong, so I'm just going to do what I know best and apologize. But then those words become meaningless. Like you don't want to just, you don't, like, sorry becomes something of self-preservation. You're saying sorry as like a shield, like yes, okay, I said I'm sorry, I'm good, I apologized, I'm good now. But words mean nothing. Your words mean shit when your actions don't match it. And that was also something that I had a hard time conceptualize, like getting to a hard time understanding, is that I had to show for what I felt inside. I can't just say that I'm sorry. I need to make a radical change. So with the help of my boyfriend and my friends and my family, who all held me accountable for my actions, by the way, I needed to make sure that I would never do that again. So what I started to do, and this is kind of stupid, don't make fun of me. You can make fun of me. You know what? You can throw, like, this whole thing, you can make fun of me for the whole thing. You can throw tomatoes at me. I deserve it. So what I did is that when I was really dealing with the guilt, and I was like, I need to take accountability for my actions, and I was like a baby learning how to do that, I went to Reddit. Okay, pause. Don't stay with me now. This is actually terrible. I went to r/cheating, and I would look at people's stories, and I would like give them advice. And I would tell them, like, they're like, oh, I cheated on somebody and I did something terrible and la la la. And I would literally go like, listen, man, so fucking stupid. Oh my gosh, bro. I would tell them, like, you just have to own up to what you did. There's no, like, that person that you, like, I would say these things, and it's hypocritical because that's what I'm saying, right? It's like, well, fuck, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I would tell them in the comments that I'm like, I cheated as well. And it's like, you can't expect, they owe you shit. Like, I'd say, like they don't owe you anything. You have to take accountability for your actions, and the most you can do right now is better yourself and give them the agency, the person that you hurt, the agency to decide what they want to do with their life. But you have to deal with what you did, and you need to make sure that that doesn't happen again, and you need to focus on yourself and shit like that. And like, I mean, I think that helped me a lot, you know, like being able to like do that, because in a way I was kind of saying those things to myself and I was saying those things to other people. My version of taking accountability as it is now is being open and honest about the things that I do wrong, and making it like an actual thing that within my actions things have to be different. Like, I think it would be hypocritical if, like, I was unfaithful to my boyfriend and I continued, hanging out with people and doing a bunch of things that are like stupid and that were involved within me, like betraying, like I don't lie anymore. Like I made that like a thing where it's like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I don't lie anymore. I'm gonna make sure that I'm just gonna be honest. And because a lot of the things that led up to this was me lying, right? I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna be honest, and whatever he asks from me, I'm gonna give that to him. Well, obviously, like within reason, because I think like that's another side to this, where like something that my cousin told me, because when this whole thing went down, I was like, I was beating myself up a lot because I was being held accountable for the first time. I was in a situation where I was fully accountable for the first time, it felt like, in my life. And my cousin, who was helping me through this, shout out Kayla, hopefully I'm gonna get you on the podcast as well, but she told me that she was like, you can't just beat yourself up constantly, because you're never gonna get anywhere. And like, I think that's another side to this accountability thing, where it comes with acknowledging that what you did was wrong, and it comes with feeling the guilt, and it comes with, you know, having, like, knowing that what you did was wrong, but it also comes with you also acknowledging that you have the potential to grow from this situation, and that you need to hold yourself to that standard. You cannot let yourself stay within a place of guilt. Stay within a place of shame, or stay within a place of, I'm going to say the word sin, because that's like, stay within a state of sin, stay within the state of doing something wrong, that you stay as that person. You can't let that happen. And in order to not let that happen, you need to fucking believe that you can get out of that. You can't just woe yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just sit and be like, man, I did something wrong and fuck, and everyone hates me, and da 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 da, and I'm screwed, and no one's gonna love me, and I'm just this terrible, terrible person. Because guess what, bitch? If you do that, then you're probably gonna end up hurting somebody again. And that's not who you are. That's not who you are. You don't have to be that person. And I also just want to be honest and very clear that, like, this whole taking accountability thing, and me working within my relationship with this person, and me finding a whole new group of friends that hold me accountable yet still encourage me to be a good person, and who believe in me that I can be better, I would have none of that if it wasn't for my faith. I want to make that clear. I actually want to make that extremely clear. None of this that I did, none of, like, the place where I am at now, where I love my boyfriend, and I am learning to be a better girlfriend, and we are working on ourselves. Our relationship isn't perfect, obviously, because it's, you know, trust is like that piece of paper. It's crumpled, man. It's something that it's not something that you can, it's something that you have to, like, discard and rebuild from zero. But even then, it's still hard. And also, I don't want you to come for my boyfriend for staying with me. I want you to come for me, for what I did. I would really hate to see anything about him in a negative way, obviously, because none of this was his fault. I want to make that very, very clear. It was my fault. I was the one that chose to do this. So if I do see anything that is coming for him, I'm gonna delete it immediately. But come for me, absolutely. What I did was wrong, but I wouldn't have any of this now, where I'm able to talk about this very openly and publicly, if it wasn't for God. If it wasn't for the forgiveness that my boyfriend gave me, but the forgiveness that God gave me for lying and hurting all and betraying all of these people. I think a big thing about it was, like, yeah, that whole notion, when you're given a gift, you better make sure you fucking earn it. And there's gonna be people that, you know, will continue to hold you accountable, even when you feel that you're not that person anymore. And I think, like, for me, because I'm a prideful individual and I'm still not perfect, it's hard because, like, yeah, like, it's hard to be reminded of something that you did wrong. But I think something that I remind myself when that happens is that it was that same mentality that got me into this shit in the first place, where I didn't want to think of myself as somebody that could do something wrong. It was me not believing, it was me believing I was above doing wrong actions that led me to ruining somebody's life. And I don't want to be in that position again. And I think, like, you just have to tank it, bruh. I'm sorry. Like to an extent, obviously, like, you know, use your own discernment. Like, don't let anybody abuse you, but don't, you know, if it's directly related to the things that you did wrong in your life, you gotta own it, because, you know, you did that. And admitting that you did that doesn't mean that you're unredeemable. Doesn't mean that you are that, you know, that very same individual back then that maybe have done that. I mean, you still are that individual now, and that is a part of your story, and living with that stain is hard, and I can understand that, but like, it's a result of your actions. And I think that it takes a strong person to be able to continue living after doing something like that, and to own it, and to be like, yeah, I fucked up, and I need to make sure, like, make it like a thing in your life that never happens again. And like, I've done wrong things beyond cheating. Like, I'm not, like, I kind of realize that I'm making it sound like cheating was the only wrong thing I've done in my life. No, like, I used to be like a really big gossiper and a really big liar because, like, well, the lying thing kind of came out of this idea of, like, I lie for survival. Like, I was in a situation where I really did have to do that. But I mean, I really didn't. Well, like, I could have not. I could have just left the person. But hey, situations are hard. I lied, I gossiped, and I hurt a lot of people doing that. And I think, like, if I were to take those stories and be like, yeah, well, this led up to this, and this person said this about me, and da-da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da-da, is that taking accountability? I actually want to ask you guys that, because, like, for example, like, let's say, this is a hypothetical, this didn't happen to me, but, like, let's say that, like, somebody punches you, and you punch them back. What you did, like, were you wrong for punching that person if they punched you? Like, what do you think about that? And if so, do you think that you should be taking, like, accountability for that? Personally, I think you should. But, like, I kind of have that perspective on wrong actions because of my Catholicism. But it's like, when you do something wrong, big or small, it's still something wrong. And I think being able to acknowledge that and to make it a thing where you grow from it, it's like, that helps you be a better person. And I kind of just want to bring this back to, I just realized I'm going on for really long, and I actually do have to get my hair done. A lot of people may be wondering, like, why is your boyfriend still with you? And I just want to make this quick comment before we kind of go off, is that, yeah, I agree. I don't know. But, like, if somebody loves me that much after I betrayed them, and if somebody believes in me that I can be better, I need to believe in myself that I can be better too. And I kind of want to say that to you all as well, to the things that you do wrong in your life, to the moments where you did not act in line with the person who you want to be, and you want to be a better person and grow from those mistakes. The first step is to admit that you made one. And it's not going to be perfect. Like, I even me in this video, I don't think this video is a perfect, you know, account of me taking accountability. It's just my story. It's, you know, and it's what being accountable was for me. But, you know, in your life, you're not stuck in the ways that you were yesterday. You're not stuck in the things that you've done if you don't let yourself be stuck. You can get out of that. And I believe that you can fully. But step one is admitting when something is wrong, and is admitting that you did something wrong. And that's the taking accountability. And I might talk more about this if you guys want me to, but I don't even know if this episode will air, because I need to ask if this was a good episode. But yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'll see how this goes. But don't give up on yourself. Work to be better. You can do it. I'm here for you. Okay, bye. Mwah. Love you all.